Ladies and gentlemen, it is your best friend Mod Son, and I just got the pleasure to come hang out with who I consider someone who's kind of like holding up the scene on his shoulders right now, Kevan Kenney. I love you so much. Enjoy this interview. We went really in depth because we are best friends. And right here, like and subscribe below. Kevin's got an awesome YouTube channel going on right now. Like I said, Mod Son, Movement on Dreams, Stand Under None. I love you. I love you.
Dude, I was just watching your punk rock MBA interview.
Yeah.
And I didn't realize, what's this Rolling Stone thing? You went for like the cover of Rolling Stone as an independent artist?
In this contest, it was the only contest Rolling Stone's ever done, and it was they picked 15 unsigned artists, and the winner of the contest was the first unsigned artist on the cover of Rolling Stone.
No way. So how do you wind? Because you have to understand, this is kind of what I love about our friendship, right?
Yeah.
Is that from what I gather, 2019, end of 2019, 2020, a lot of life changes happening for you, and then that leads to a new direction with your music. I don't know you then. I've never met you. I meet you. I feel like I moved to a new school. You know what I mean? And I meet you as you're making Stay Away and those records right before it. And so I have no context for who Mod was before then.
Yeah.
So how do you wind up on Rolling Stone magazine's radar in 2012?
Yo, such a great question. I like to think that what I had started doing, so this was like 10 years ago, like, you know.
Isn't that crazy?
Yeah.
Yeah.
For real crazy. And I like to think it was just like I had a different flavor of what was going on then. Like there was so much ideology I thought that was about to change with like the ideas of positivity, manifestation, law of attraction, all that, right? It was like just happening, but it was all old people talking about it. It was all old people like sitting there being like, now, if you want the life of your dreams, you must do this. And there's no young voice for that. And I felt like that was what gave me this like edge, and they just somehow heard of me, bro. If you listen to one of my mixtapes, it's a Mod Son mixtape called Health, Wealth, Success, and Happiness. There's the voicemail from the publisher of Rolling Stone that he called and left a voicemail. He's like, yo, this is Matt, I'm from Rolling Stone, and just give me a call back. I want to talk to you about doing this competition. And like, bro, I mean, honestly, I really do believe in those things that I just talked about, the law of attraction, all that. I made a song that was like, I've been rapping for 735 days and Rolling Stone called me. Like that was like a lyric in it. So it was like literally I'd been Mod Son for like, you know, a very short time.
Right.
Released like 2 little projects. I've released so much music, bro. I have like over 1,000 songs released. You know?
Get your start though, you're doing drums in pop punk bands, the scary kids scaring kids, and you get on Warped Tour, right, with that band?
I was drum teching.
Okay.
So I started drum teching for them. And through that, they would do a signing at the Kia tent on Warped Tour every day, right? So they'd play their set, or before they played their set, they'd have like 1:30 p.m. We'll be at the Kia tent today doing a signing. So they'd have a line of kids there, and they had like someone like DJ in it. And I was like, man, give me that mic, bro. Like, give me the mic. Let me plug into this aux. And I would just start performing to their line. And
what are you doing then, though? Are you singing or rapping?
I was rapping.
Okay.
I was rapping. I had wanted to be a singer my whole life, and everyone was like, you can't sing. And so I was like, I'm going to rap. You can't tell me I can't do that. You know?
Why was it rap?
Well,
because you grew up a pop punk kid.
First off, I mean, I will say that there was like a really big kind of like the backpack rap scene in Minnesota.
Okay.
There was like a big scene for that. And I just like, as a drummer, you kind of like have obviously a natural rhythm, you know? And the hi-hat, that was like my natural rhythm.
You have a percussive brain.
Yes. So that was my natural rhythm. Like H-I-P-P-Y, you can probably see why I'm at the 70 sort of divine when I put the letters to me, that's like, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So like to me, naturally, that made sense to me. Also, now, here's something that like rap doesn't get enough credit for. Okay, you look at a song that's sung. Okay, that verse probably consists of 15 to 30 words. 15 to 30 words in a rap song is about 4 or 5 seconds. Okay, we're talking like in a massive vocabulary to be a rapper. Massive. To get through a verse is like 100+ words, bro. That's 3 songs that you're singing. You know what I'm saying? And then if you're like someone like Adele, it's like you got like 15 words in a song because you're holding notes for like 15 seconds. You know what I'm saying? So I was like, always, words are like what really like turned me on in art is words. Like poetry has been something that I have studied my entire life, right? When I was in art class and the teacher would be like, all right, we're gonna now make a piece of art. Like I would paint a word, like I would draw a word and then paint inside of it or draw skulls around a word. It was always words for me. So like having a giant vocabulary has always been something that I wanted. And I just felt like it was easier for me to get my point across than by using as many words as possible. You know, I think as you get better and better as an artist, the goal is to you know, back then I was taking a sentence and turning it into a paragraph. I think as you grow as an artist, the goal is to take a paragraph and turn it into a sentence, right? Yeah. So like the evolution of that naturally made sense. You know, if you go back to like Mod Sun projects in like 2012 or 13, there's always been hooks being sung. I always wanted to like have melody in. As someone who self-produced myself all the way up until Internet Killed the Rockstar, that's the first time I worked with a producer. Literally everything else prior to that is me hitting spacebar, going up to the mic, hitting spacebar again. Produced 70% of that music as well. Some of it was beats that people would send me, but it's all like in-house, me and a computer. Right. I wasn't like, it took a long time for me to get really comfortable singing. You know what I'm saying? Like,
well, was there a part of you too, if I think back to just where music was late 2000s, early 2010s, that you felt you couldn't do pop punk, you couldn't do punk music because it really wasn't that cool anymore?
Oh, I mean, yo, there is a need to, obviously, like I say this all the time. I'm like, yo, study the things that came before you. Always study the things that came before you. Like, look to those people. It's totally great to have idols and heroes and like learn from them. Like my whole thing was like take all my heroes and like take my favorite things I admired from them and create like this like superhero character and become that, right? So it's like, if anyone wants to argue with me, and this is all love to the bands that kept doing it, that like the scene didn't die, like you're crazy. You weren't there then. Yeah. Because like the scene died overnight. Totally. I mean, it happened really quickly. You know,
I just think rap got like so exciting.
Yeah. Oh my God. I mean, yo, like really, really charismatic rappers opposed to like bands. Look, this is what I always say. I mean, band mentality. As a fan, I'm a fan of music, period. Like, I still listen. Dude, I listen to New Music Friday on Spotify every Thursday at 9 p.m. I go through the whole list. Oh, yeah. I might give a song 5 seconds, 10 seconds. I go through the whole list every Thursday at 9 p.m. I am a crazy. Yeah, right. I know for a half minute.
You got 10 out of 10
really
seconds,
good.
bro.
It gets really
I'm
good.
giving you
like 75.
1.5.
I know. But I'm a huge music fan.
Yeah.
Like, that's what drives me, dude. I love discovering new artists. I love the feeling of, like, hearing something new. As a fan, I understand what it was like in the turning point of the internet generation. So what we were talking about is why we think the scene died then. Mm-hmm. Yo, it became so much easier to focus on a solo artist than it did 5 members. Because you know you had all those bands where you were like, you two seem cool and the other 3 are kind of blurred out of the picture, right?
Right.
Really, it was like that. So the solo artist came through. And it really, really, I mean, I think everything changed from bands to solo artists overnight almost.
It was also just so much cheaper to make hip hop records.
Yeah.
And when I think of like myself and where I went from like Drive-Thru Records to like Cash
say
Money.
Say that name, bro.
Where I went from Drive-Thru Records to Cash Money Records was like when Wayne was dropping mixtapes on datpiff.com like every day.
I mean, sampling, like you don't sample in that collaboration. Like the other thing of like collaboration, like when was the last time you saw your favorite band saying featuring someone else?
Right.
Every rap song is like so-and-so featuring so-and-so. Mm-hmm. Collaboration was huge, and I think there's still this giant, I mean, we're just seeing it now, I think, where like rock music, alt music, this scene music has features on it. Yeah. It literally didn't, in 2015, 16, 17, I think it was still gone. I think like within the last 3 years, we've been seeing a lot of this collaboration within like real band instruments.
Yeah, and I think a lot of that credit, I mean, this whole scene, Andrew, you know Andrew Sandler? Mm-hmm. He's a friend of mine, obviously a very talented guy. And
the director.
Yeah, of
producer.
course.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
so he did I Think I'm Okay
Yeah.
with MGK and Youngblood and Travis, of course.
Yep.
And I remember when the first radio station in America to play that record and champion, it was us in New York on 92.3 and all 92.3.
Yeah.
And I remember so many people were like, I don't know, like the rapper guy that was just beefing with Eminem, like is he an alt, is he alt, all those talking points you probably heard ad nauseum. But that video and that
Shout out
collaboration,
Kels, by the way, one of the realest.
of course.
Yeah.
He's got some cool stuff coming, we've heard.
Oh yeah.
And we'll get to that Venice show. I got to get the inside scoop on that Venice
Yeah.
deal. But that, I think, really launched this whole era. And look at what that was. That was a collaboration between really three people. And that started this whole thing of collaboration.
I mean, it definitely. And then, like, again, to not discredit the bands that stuck it through, like Newfound Glory, like classic case of drive-through band at the beginning. That once the scene died, they didn't quit. They didn't quit. And like that is so cool to me. You want to know what else like really hurt is like we're looking at Warped Tour and we're like, dude,
what a bad time to retire. What a
Dude,
bad time
I'm
to
glad
retire.
you
And
said it,
I
'cause I
love
was
Kevin
thinking
Lyman.
Me
Kevin Lyman one
too.
time paid me for a gig in men's bathroom at the Cutting Room in New York City.
Wow.
That's like my.
I mean, Kevin Lyman was a real one. He's one of the ones that gave me my first shot. Like literally, like
Really?
I went to the agency group. This was back in the day. They were called the agency group, the agency. And I took a meeting with this guy, and he went out to go get me something to drink. Like I don't even know what. He left the office. I went through his This is still Rolodex times. I found Kevin Lyman's number and email, and I wrote it down. And I cold called him and begged him to let Mod Sun play Warped Tour. That's how I got that slot as Mod Sun playing Warped Tour. I had done drum teching on it. Like I had gone to Warped Tour. My first show ever was 2001, Blink headlining Warped Tour. Watching Blink, Sum 41, Alien Ant Farm, Newfound Glory, Alkaline Trio. Like
What a
these
summer
were all
for
main
all,
stage.
dude. What a summer
Good
for
Charlotte,
all.
I think, was on the main stage. I just sat at the main stage all day. That was my first show. So like I'm a Warped kid. And like Kevin Lyman, like he's so amazing. But like
Gotta bring it back.
yeah,
I mean,
it's
no
obviously
one
gonna
saw.
happen.
I mean, he could have never anticipated it.
No,
you know what I mean?
no one could, dude.
No.
No one could. And like I'm the first to say that like we were speaking earlier about my song. I remember way too much. Was I think was like 2018. That was my shift, right? That was when. So like here's me in a nutshell. Is like I've studied art my whole life. Art, like artists, like painters, and like that's just what I've always done, right? I'm interested in those people. My favorite artists have always said you recreate yourself every 10 years. Every 10 years you start to recreate yourself, right? So like for the first 10 years of my life I was a drummer in bands. Then the second 10 years of my life was me like rapping. Then 32, 31 came along, and I was like, I'm going to completely evolve again. And like, that's just what I'm going to do. In another 8 years, I'm probably going to hit my Bob Dylan folk phase. You know what I'm saying? Like, I just like thoroughly believe in that. I believe in the evolution of an artist. So like, when I started doing what I'm doing now, like I had no intentions of being like, this is what's going to be cool again. Like I'll never forget Kels being like, we're going to take pop punk to the mainstream. And I was like, been there, done that, bro. It ain't gonna happen. Like I was literally like, okay, we'll support you through and through. I don't know about that, right? And like, dude, we all know Kels like kicked down the door.
Yeah.
You know, that album kicked down the door. And is the reason like, I mean, shit, sorry. Is the reason like I give him so much credit to like always being a visionary in so many ways. You know what I'm saying?
Do you remember, like, because you guys are so close, and you're best friends. Do you remember a conversation, or maybe it was a series of conversations, where he told you, okay, I'm gonna take things in a new direction?
Yeah.
What was that conversation?
Well, one of them was that. The other thing that happened, I think, is the success of I Think I'm Okay. You know,
but even
like,
before I Think I'm Okay, because that's a huge departure.
I don't know if there was talks about it. I think it was kind of just clandestine. I mean, sometimes you tap into the universe. So like, I remember conversations post that, because if you recall, that song is on an album that's all rapping.
Is that on Hotel Diablo?
Yes, it is.
Oh my gosh.
It's like the last song on it.
Interesting.
So it was like the end of that album, kind of introducing or ushering
That's
in.
so funny.
And without knowing. I don't think he was like, this is my... And again, he is not done with rap by any means. You know what I'm saying? I'm not speaking for him, but I can say that because he said that. But like, you know, I think that like he kind of saw that it was like a home for him, you know? And there's nothing better than like, again, like I'm an outcast through and through. Like I came from school, like in school, I was wearing Dickies down to my ankles, Famous Stars and Straps shirt, skateboarding, getting in trouble, all of that. Half dyed hair, carried a briefcase to school instead of a backpack. Like I was the outcast.
Why did you carry a briefcase to school?
Because
I don't remember that being part of like the X Games starter kit.
Bro, I was on.
Where did you get that? Did you see it in a video?
Yo, I know exactly why. It was because literally I was making bands websites in class. I was on Photoshop making band merch designs. Like I'm grassroots. Like I'm DIY. You know what I'm saying? So like,
but why not put it in a backpack mod?
No. It was so cool, bro. I was also, you from the East Coast, bro. I'm a drive-through kid. I was wearing t-shirts, scarves. T-shirt with a scarf, like even that, like bro, I have school pictures where I'm like half dyed hair, scarf on with a t-shirt and like a briefcase, bro. I just thought it was so cool. Yeah. We're all wearing girls' jeans because they didn't make dude jeans tight yet, unless you had $400 for Diesel jeans. Shout out Midtown and Gabe.
Yep.
Gabe was rocking the Diesel jeans. I remember seeing that, being like, oh whoa, like I gotta do that. Like man, I loved it. Oh, I love the East Coast pop punk wave, bro. Like I still talk to the Early November all the time.
Oh my gosh,
they stayed at my house when I was I was just in the studio with Pete Wentz the other day, right? And I talked to him about this show that it was American Hi-Fi headlining, and then it was Fall Out Boy and the Early November, right? And the Early November stayed at my house that night. This was like Fall Out Boys. They're like I think
this is in Minnesota. Where is
this? Yes, Minnesota. Wow. Quest Ascot Room, which was Prince's club. R.I.P. Prince. Like, like I mean, just like everything that I did was this scene. I'm ranting a little, but it's gonna come back to the fact that like for every kid out there that has filled their head with all this knowledge, I had filled my head with the knowledge of the entire discography of Drive Thru Records and Vagrant and all the labels, every band, dude. And I was like, it's never gonna be used. And like I'm so grateful to see this shift happening. And like we're like the fact about talking about like gatekeepers and stuff like that.
Yeah, like, which we were talking about before we started recording. We were talking about how this one of the defining characteristics of the moment right now is how the previous generation. It's not everybody, by the way, but there is a large, especially at alternative radio. Yeah, there's a big segment of the population that grew up with a certain style of alternative or punk rock music that just want to like gatekeep and really like test everybody having success, whether it was Jaden, who was here last week because he had success on TikTok, whether it was Kels, because Kels was a rapper, God forbid, had a lot of success as a rapper, whether it's Willow because of the success her family had, and it's obviously jealousy, right? You can see it clear as day, right? Or because you made a different style of music, this is somehow disingenuous. But
there's two sides to it, because like the jealousy part is like I can understand. I like to think that I have like a sensibility of being a good person at the end of the day. So like, is there jealousy? Yeah, but I also see it as like, it's so hard to see the things that you did your whole life and everyone was making fun of you for it. Mm-hmm. To see those get so easily accepted now is like a shock. It's such a shock to them, I think.
Yeah.
And it's like, are they going to say the word like poser and all that? It's like, the only thing that I have a problem with is like, first off, like the whole like throwing the word punk around is crazy. It's crazy because like, Sid Vicious would be rolling around in his grave if we're calling some of these people punks, right? Like punk is like, Vivian Westwood is like, wait a second, At the same time, I'm like, there's an evolution to everything, And like, this is what the scene is to me. And this is why I enjoy this new wave of things. Is that like what we can say pop punk right now. We can say the scene. That's what I'll always call it, the scene. We can call it emo music, screamo bands, all that, everything. What that always was giving a voice to the kids that were told to shut up, right? And I believe that there's a lot of these kids that just because they're popular online doesn't mean they're popular in their city. You know what I'm saying? Like, online is this giant world where you can be accepted, but you still walk out your front door. And it's like, you can still get laughed at very easily. And like, so I have that heart for anyone who is like, yo, even if you're popular, to be called like be getting made fun of is like that hurts. It really hurts. And like on this internet era, I think we all have this human condition that's like you get 1,000 comments that say you're amazing and you have one that says you suck, and that's the one you remember. And I just like, I don't know how we're gonna get past that. I want to be able to like erase that and be like, yo, that one person really loves you actually. You know what I'm saying? But it's like the gatekeeper mentality is definitely weird to me for one reason and one reason only. Back in the day, in this scene, I love saying back in the day. I don't even think that's also like back in the day, it was us against the world. That's what pop punk was, dude. Plain and simple. It was us against the world. And it was like if Newfound Glory got on late night TV, the starting line was like, yes, we're winning. We are winning. When Fall Out Boy blew up off of Sugar, We're Going Down, like the whole scene was like, yes, we just broke through. And I'm like, that's what we need to be focused on right now, is like when the person that you're looking at is winning, it is a win for all of us.
Of course.
And it was like the whole me against the world was that solo artist mentality. It was like me against the world, like me, I've got to fight for this. And that's what I took from the scene days so much, was us against the world. And like, I think that needs to be pushed to the front a little more right now. That like a Willow Smith song hitting Hot 100 is a win for the genre of, if anything, for the genre of real drums, okay? Like, we know guitar has been the instrument of the decade, right? But real drums coming back, like, we all need to applaud that. We all need to applaud that. So the fact that we've got Hot 100 songs with real drums in it right now is just like, that is a win. That is a win, period. You know? And so,
or dude,
like,
how about the biggest debut album, literally of all time, streaming-wise, Olivia Rodrigo's, opening with a pop punk song? I think that's a moment that not a lot of people are talking about. I think it's a massive moment. I mean, you and I are both history buffs. We love to study the past. I also think about the present day in that macro sense too. Almost like, you know, like what is this going to be remembered? That's a big moment, dude.
Yeah.
A Disney princess who's just as pop comes, opening her debut album, right? Best-selling album of the year with a pop punk record called Brutal, with live drums.
Yeah.
I mean, that's a huge. I mean, that's really speaking to this sort of a zeitgeist moment that the genre's having.
There you go. And it's like, yo, also with being history buffs, like we all know history repeats itself. So it's like,
well, the past is prologue. That's one of my favorite phrases.
Yes.
Right?
Say it again, bro.
Dude, past is prologue. You study the past and like, because people would make fun of me because I work at MTV during the day.
Yep.
Best part of that job, and I love you, MTV. The best part of that job, in addition to the free clothes, is the archives.
Yes.
So I'm like, I got a password to the archives. Dude, all quarantine, all I would do is I'd be like, I want to know about this band. Oh, cool. Here's an hour-long raw footage interview for their behind the music for their whatever, right? Back in the day.
It's so cool, man.
But you got to study that stuff because then you see the plays. I grew up playing sports, right?
Yeah.
You'd study the offense, you'd study the defense the week before, and you'd see the plays before they ran them.
Yeah.
You know? And that's what studying the past does, and I'm sure you can attest to that wholly.
I mean, it's just like, it's one of the most important things to me. I think that is a way for you to, it's the best learning curve ever. You know what I'm saying? You see your favorite people and you get to learn from them, mistakes and not. Like, that's why I'm so into being an open book. Like with the my life right now, how it is, I like to just literally like spill my guts. You know what I'm saying? Because I do feel like I make all my art from the lens of being dead, right? Dead and gone. Like, I'm like not at all concerned with the relevancy or the right now of it. I truly think when I'm dead and gone, everything I do will become way more important than it is now, you know? And like, I like to keep that mentality and think about the people that are going to be watching this way long from now. Not the people that are going to be watching this today. Love y'all. But I'm like really focused on like being someone who's like creating a path for the future, you know?
Yeah.
And however that works, like, you know, so kind of what we were talking about with like, it's really disheartening to see classic bands or artists hating on new shit. new stuff. Can I swear?
Yeah, we're on the podcast.
Okay.
Yeah.
Woo, y'all saw my face real quick? A little sweat coming out.
Mod's also cussed
they're
like 4
kicking me
times.
out.
That's the one you get worried
Yeah,
about?
I know. My bad. So I mean, yeah. Again, like what I know from what I learned is us against the world, you know, rather than me against the world. And I just think that that's like the easiest thing to stick, you know.
When you also got to understand, right, studying history is that when something's new, because a big part of the judgment and the gatekeeping and what people just never want to admit is what they're doing is they're upset that they're losing their youth, right? Because
Yes.
we all have a youth, right? And we grow up with a set of morals, a set of values, a set of principles, you know, and that goes for comedy of our generation, you know, music of our generation, fashion of our generation. And if you study history, whatever comes next is going to be the complete opposite, right? So like, what does like 80s hair metal give us? It gives us Kurt Cobain. What does Kurt Cobain give us? Britney Spears. What does Britney Spears give us? Gerard Way, right? And you can go
So
through.
cool.
What does Gerard Way give us? Or what does 50 Cent give us? Kanye West.
Yeah.
And it's always the opposite, right? And so what you have to understand is that the next thing is going to be the opposite of what the now thing is.
Yeah.
Doesn't mean it's not, it's disingenuous. Doesn't mean it's not punk rock. You know what I mean? So it's just things are going to change. But I think you were talking about Pete Wentz before and being in the studio. He's always been a guy that really understood that and the importance of evolving. Are you guys working on music or what were you guys doing in the studio?
Yeah, we were working with one of his artists actually. So I do a bunch of writing and that kind of stuff for other artists. You know?
Was it Nothing Nowhere?
No, it wasn't. It was this kid named Q.
Oh, Q Griggs.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, he was
Yeah.
just in with Feldy.
You know how to that's what we were doing.
Oh,
Yep.
no way.
You know, I didn't even know how to say his name. I was like, I just know him as Q.
Bro, that guy changes his name so much. You know what's so funny? This is amazing that we're having this conversation right now because Jaden was just here and we're clipping out stuff for YouTube and he was talking about Q's music.
Yeah.
So I go, dude, what do I title this? Because sometimes this guy is Q, sometimes this guy is Q Griggs, sometimes this guy's Quentin Griggs, sometimes he's QVE. I was like, I don't want to call it Q. People are gonna think it's like QAnon. Like, you know what I mean? Like, so what the hell do I call it? You know what I mean? Like, imagine a headline, yo, Jaden comments on Q.
That's
You know what I mean?
funny.
So I was just like, you know, but it was cool because Jaden was telling me that Q wants to take things in more of like a harder rock or like he was talking about Black Veil Brides and stuff like that as opposed to just like straight up pop punk. But have you been around Q? Have you been like working with him at all?
Just in the studio this one day we made like a smash.
Really?
Yeah.
How often does that happen that you make like a song? How long do you get in the studio? And I'm not counting the 15-minute, you know, meditative exercise that Feldman will make you do. After you get through those 15 minutes,
Yeah.
how long does it take you to really put a song together?
Well, it really depends on what we're talking about. If we're talking about Mod Sun music, it comes out like vomit. You know what I'm saying? It's like, it can be 20 minutes, it can be an hour, but if it's not done in an hour, it's not going to be mine. You know what I'm saying? Working with other artists, it's really like, I try to push them to be in that state. So it's like, it really depends on what they want to do. But like, for me, Bob Dylan wrote Times They Are Changing and Blowing in the Wind in 10 minutes.
Crazy.
I'm like, yo, if it's not happening within like 30 minutes, it's not it. You know what I'm saying?
Well, it's almost like going back to rap. Like it's usually the first take.
Yeah.
You know?
And honestly, like, yo, working with when I work with artists, you know, this might be a little narcissistic, but like, I usually impress the people I'm working with. You know, this is why I love working with Feldman is because like Feldman, the first time I met Feldman was to work with a different band, was to work with this group named Girlfriends who's coming on tour with me. Shout out Girlfriends. I came in because I've known Travis Mills for 12 years, right? When I was drum teching on Warped Tour, he was selling merch for a group on Warped Tour. That's how we met. So he was like, yo, Mod's doing great at writing, let's have him in. And I came in, we were working on a song, and like, I don't do the whole sit there and try to write the song before you record. I don't do that. And that's kind of what was happening that day. And Feldman could like feel the vibe, and he was like, all right, go out and like take a smoke break, do whatever. And he came running out the door and he's like, Mod, I got an idea, just go get behind the mic. He didn't even play me the instrumental that I was getting on. And he was like, just go. And he saw what I do, which is
wait, hold on. So you go in there. There's no instrumental.
No, yeah.
There's no directive. What the hell do you do? You stand there. What do you? You start singing?
He hadn't played me the instrumental.
Oh, but he's playing you it.
He just went in there, said, put the headphones on, and hit record to an instrumental that I was playing that I'd never heard.
Okay.
And everything just comes flooding out. Blah, 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 blah. All this comes out. Melodies, lyrics, concepts, everything. And he was just like, whoa. like, yes, you know, because that's how he likes to work. He likes to be like capturing something. Like I call it, you know, like I have like hippy dippy sensibilities. So like I call it like that's God talking, right? Because like I'm not in control at that point. Like one thing that I like to try to always say is like remove the bone of embarrassment. Everything in life will get better. Like so many people stop themselves in fear of looking like an idiot.
Right.
I will look like an idiot so happily to get to something great.
Well, it's a superpower. If you can unlock
Going
it,
in
dude.
there and being like, yo, when I work with someone and they get behind the mic, I'll be like, I'm gonna go this far away. I'd be like, yo, go in there and just scream. Just be like, blah, blah, blah. Say a word that no one's ever said before. Just be weird. Be weird, dude. I'm so like, I don't want to hear someone be like, like, I don't want to hear that. I don't want to hear that. I want to hear you be weird and like let that out. So then all of a sudden we can get to like magic. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
So like I've been laughed at so many times, bro. My first Mod Sun tour was playing. I said, Scary Good Scaring Kids, I will play drums for you, but you must let me open the tour as Mod Sun. I would play in front of 1,500 kids who were there to hear post-hardcore music, and I would come out rapping over Miley Cyrus Party in the USA, okay? And I would get laughed at and booed off stage. I wouldn't leave stage, but they would be trying to boo me off the stage, okay? Then I would go and wait for Scary Kids to play. I'd go jump behind the drums and kill it for an hour and a half on the drums. Then I would put down my drumsticks, run back to the merch table to Mod Sun merch, and be handing everything out, and everyone's high-fiving me, bro, I hated you for 4 hours, and now I love you. You're so cool that you went up there and did that. It's like, yo, I have always realized that, like, life is a boxing match. You want to knock him out for a swing. Everyone wants to knock him out for a swing. But if you get down to 1 second left in the final round and you knock him out, that is a win. It is a win. Go until the end. You know, I live out in Malibu now. I sit out and I'm like watching surfers all day. And I'm like, look at these guys. Even the ones that ride the wave the best, they fall at the end.
Yeah.
They fall. I mean, if you're like the real cool guy and you just like jump off, you're falling off. There's no one that rides the wave into the shore, gets off and puts on his suntan lotion and girls come and flock around them. They all fall off.
Well, it's a parallel to life, right? None of us make it out alive.
It's
There's no
like-
winning this.
it's
I mean,
like-
the winning, right, is
I
being
get
happy and appreciating the journey. But
Yes, and
you know,
I get so much inspiration off watching these surfers all fall every time. And I'm like, that's what I'm talking about. Like, you're not afraid to fall. You're not afraid to get in front of the mic and sound like an idiot. And like, that's what Feldman saw in me. And immediately after that, he was like, yo, I got to work with this kid. And he called me in to work on a session. We made Karma and Bones, my 2 songs that I love so much.
Karma, which we're playing on the radio tonight.
Yes, shout out you guys for doing that. I believe in that song so hard.
Great video too. Kel's directed, right?
Yeah, man. Like such a
cool
real
video.
one. We made those songs in the matter of 3 hours. Both those songs, front to back. No music, no lyrics, front to back. 3 hours. And like that's my favorite stuff. That is my favorite music. I am not mad at an artist that goes and tries to like redo it and this and that. But like I like to just instead of like, yo, like I said, I study art. Instead of like just looking at this canvas and being like, well, I need to do this line perfect. I'm like, my canvas is so heavy, not because of the size, but because of the texture. I'm like, I want to hear the growl in my voice. I want to hear the mistakes. I want to hear me figuring it out. I think you can listen to some of my songs and actually hear me figuring it out. I'll get done with songs and won't even know what they mean. You know what I'm saying? And then I'll listen to them back and be like, whoa, like I was tapped in. You know, and that's what I think like we're able to do is like I really do believe for all the artists out there, I believe that the one thing that you can get really talented at, right, is not like, dude, perfection is disgusting. First off, just right off the top, perfection is disgusting. Like I love a mistake. But like what you can get really talented at is that the universe, or to me, God, or whatever it is to you, is constantly throwing songs. They're constantly throwing them down here. And all you need to get good at is catching them. You got to catch the song. Like Bob Dylan, again, I'll bring him up. People will go, yo, how'd you write that song? He said, I left the window open. You know? It just
It's like with anything in life, though.
Just blew in. It is. It's a metaphor for
It can be-
anything.
it can
but
be
like,
yeah.
there's so many artists that be asking me, like, how do you do this? Or like, these artists that I work with that'll be really young. And like, they have like a great potential, but they're so focused on like doing something instead of being it. Like I like to just be like, I am at the, I am a servant to this music. I am here to just catch what you are throwing down and like let it rain on me, turn off the lights, open up the window and close your eyes and just let it happen. And like, to my benefit, it keeps happening, And so like all I try to do is make as much as I can. I tell people all the time, like, I can't stand an artist that says they hate their music. I can't stand that. Like, I really don't like that. I actually like despise that. I'm like, yo, how do you make music, but you don't want to listen to your own stuff all the time? Like, I make so many songs just so I can get in my car and drive around and listen to them. Like, it is my favorite thing ever. I don't care if anyone ever hears it. I'm just like, that is me, dude.
Well, you know the famous Prince quote, right?
What's that?
Where he's like, whenever I want new music, I just make it.
Yeah, awesome. That's so great.
I know.
That is literally
shout out Minnesota.
That's it right there. And like, so anything that I can do as someone that was here in what I think was like a pivotal time in the scene or in emo music or pop punk music is like share these kind of things with those kids. Like I love like these young kids coming into the studio and being like, I want to make a song like this. And I'm like, cool. Like what we have to do is just make it. Like you want to be that, you got to do it. You have to do it. I don't like sitting around and being like, well, what's the concept of this one? I'm like, what's your favorite sentence right now that you could say? Like, what makes you get goosebumps, dude? You know what I'm saying? And like, let's do that. Let's just start there. Any sentence can be a melody. I love that.
Yeah.
Like I could take any sentence in the world and turn it into a melody right here, right now. And like, these are all just things that I want to share. So it's like, it's the opposite of being a gatekeeper. And by the way, I just made a song the other day that was like, oh gatekeeper, please let me in. Like, and talking about that because it's so much of that happening right now,
So much of that.
And yeah.
So are you working on new music right now?
Absolutely, yeah.
So is this like, are you thinking like an album after? Because you dropped the deluxe, you dropped the album, you dropped the deluxe,
Yep.
and then are you working like on you don't know where it's gonna wind up, or is there a new album you're working on?
No, there's definitely. I want to drop a new album. I think that, like I said, like I think that one thing that holds any artist back is the non-releasing of music.
Also, labels can do that.
Yeah, of course, and
labels can hold that
I'm
up.
blessed, bro. I'm signed to a label called Big Noise. Shout out Big Noise. That's my family. Like, these people believe in me like I believe in myself. They're like, you are a visionary, Mod, and whatever, like, your brand better than anyone else. So, like, if you think that's what we should do, let's do it. We're getting behind you. I have, like, such an amazing team around me, bro. And it, like, to anyone out there listening too, like, take your time finding your team. I had to take a really long time being an independent artist to, like, find the people that I felt like believed in me like I believe in me. So I'm going to release a new song before I go out on the road, which I'm going out on the road all of September to the beginning of October. I've never had things like my tickets selling like this and shows selling out. It's so fast. It's never happened like this before. So like, that's another thing is like my numbers on the internet and my Spotify monthly listeners, which I'm crazy about. Like I like focus on that stuff. I'm like, I want to build this. Like sometimes you don't know if that's becoming real life. You don't know if that's turning into like physical people, right?
Well, that's one of the biggest stories right now in music.
Yeah.
Is there's real winners and losers here of the pandemic of like,
Yeah.
okay, well, like this may have been a real big hit statistically. The tickets aren't moving.
And like, I was praying. I do so much praying, bro. Like so much. And I was really like, I think, one thing that I believe is that like the way I've changed my life, like I haven't done drugs or drank alcohol in 2 years and like 3 months.
It's amazing.
2 years and 2.5 months, right? Like I made these changes, yes, because I want to like live and do things, but like also like I'm making like a trade. I'm like, I want my dreams to come true. What is holding me back? Okay, I'm gonna take those things and I'm gonna stop doing that. But in return, I would like my dreams to come true. So like I be praying before this tour drops. I'm like, yo, God, it's your boy Mod, son. And I'm like, yo, I really, really, really want to leave for this tour and have it be sold out because like I've been playing the Roxy, for instance, which I just sold out 2 nights at the Roxy. September 9th and 10th at the Roxy. Sold out 2 nights back to back in 24 hours, okay? But I've been playing the Roxy since I was 17 years old.
Wow.
Been on that stage. As well as 70% of the venues that are on this tour. I've been playing them since I was a drummer, okay? I have been saying for so long, this is my graduation tour. This will be the last time I step on these stages. And I go back, and I go back. This is finally going to be like my graduation tour. And I've like worked so hard, you know, like stuff like, you know, Machine Gun Kelly, like we're best friends, but also he's one of the first people to like truly believe in me and like see me how, like again, like how I see myself. Like he had me open up for a tour of his in 2015 when I was like, you know, this big. And he's always been like, man, like you are art, bro. You are art. And I was talking to him the other day and like, he was just like, bro, you're selling them out. Like, I'm so proud of you. I'm so proud because he's seen me grind for so long, been on the road. Like, dude, I was on the road touring full time before I was done with high school, you know, really going around this country in a 15-passenger van with 6 other dudes playing for $0, literally going there to sell merch and sleep on someone's couch that was at the show, right? Like I did that. And there are artists now that are coming out on their first tour on a tour bus playing to auditoriums. And I'm like, big difference, like super polarizing difference, you know? And so the people that have seen me do this are like so congratulatory right now because they are like, dude, you have fought so hard to get here. And I do think a lot of it is by that praying and by that faith and by that belief. And then of course by like, you know, by working hard, you know, hard work will the harder you work, the luckier you get. Like, as far as I'm concerned, you know.
Pun intended. It's karma.
Yeah, it's karma.
You know what I mean?
It's absolutely karma, man. And so things are just like really picking up right now. And you know,
Venice show that I saw you up there with your camcorder.
Yeah.
What are you doing with all that footage? Because you always got it out. What's that leading to? What's that building towards?
So I started filming, you know how we spoke about like this whole like making art from the lens of being dead, right? Mm-hmm. So like as far as I'm concerned, at the end of my life, when I die, someone's gonna be like, we're making a movie about this guy. Well, like I'm gonna have all the footage for that. You know what I'm saying?
So we gotta wait for that?
No. So that's what it was the intention originally when I picked up a camera and started bringing it around with me, which was probably like 2 years ago now. And bring it everywhere. And I have it in my car here right now.
So you're saying we're not in the movie?
And yeah. Don't worry. There's plenty of Kevan moments in the movie. Trust me.
Carlos had his fingers crossed.
I mean, we got these ones here today. We'll be clearing this footage. But dude, there's moments of me sitting in the car. Be Kevan Kenney. We're premiering. Sorry, trust me. You in the movie, bro. But like, so I had collected like in my basement, you know, because it's like a DV camera, so they're all like the mini tapes. It's like the actual skate cam that you would use back in like 2000.
Absolutely.
And so in my basement I have just stacks of cassettes, and finally I was like, all right, whatever, we got to turn this into a documentary right now. So I do have a documentary coming out, probably before the end of the summer if all shapes up. We've done like some really cool interviews with people for it, and it's really nice to hear some of these things that people are saying about me, like narcissism again. But yeah, so
you're very sensitive about the notion that you're a narcissist. I can tell, right?
Yeah,
but don't you think it's healthy though for all you've been through to also appreciate you? Because I think for a long time you probably weren't feeling the appreciation for your art that you now are. Yeah. So like you're just smelling the flowers, you're smelling the roses, no?
Yeah. And then at the same time, like I think like the thing that works best for me is like the living in humbleness. You know what I'm saying? Like I enjoy a critique, honestly. So compliments are like a little bit of a throwaway for me, you know? I really hear a critique. I think you can learn more from a critique than a compliment anyway. It's like a compliment is just like, you look cool today. You're like, cool. Someone's like, yo, I don't know about this and that. You're like, oh, maybe I can learn from that. I don't know. I'm all about that. And like, I've had moments, especially like drug-induced moments where I'm like sitting there hearing myself talk about myself and I'm like, dude, shut up. you know? Like, I think the one true thing that you can say is like, I am. Anything after that, you're just kind of like being a little narcissist, you know? So like, I love talking for other people and telling them how great they are. I think that's awesome. But like talking about myself like that, I always like at some point kind of listen back and I'm like, nah, man. Like, just let other people say that. You don't need to tell the world how great you are. And like, trust me, dude, I've spent many years. Like I said, you know me from like 2018, 2019 on.
Not even.
Okay.
Like 2020, dude.
Okay. So 2020 on,
Yeah.
bro. Like 5 years ago, we'd have a different conversation. I'd be like, you don't know who I am. Look at me, this is my camera. You know what I'm saying? Like, for real. You're on my, this is not the Kevan Kenney show. This is the Mod Sun show. Don't you dare talk about yourself. You know, so like, I'm just like, yo, my gifts are coming so much through being grateful and being humble. And I think that like, it looks best on me, you know?
What are you doing with Drake?
Ah!
Yeah, here's why I'm pressing you again, bro. Because the last time we talked, he had just followed you, and it was we jokingly, I was like, oh, what are you gonna do, right? And then I swear to God, like days later, I see this guy pop up in LA in a World Industries hoodie.
Yeah.
And I go, Drake doesn't know what World Industries is, right? I go, what the? He's in a Birdhouse hoodie. I go, and I love Drake, but I go, how does Drake know about Birdhouse? And I start like connecting dots in my head, and I go, what are these two cooking up? Is it just a mutual respect thing, or are you guys working, or what?
Drake is one of the realest, man. I can't tell you, and he actually does know about all that stuff. He's a real one. He's actually. Whatever you think that Drake would be, it's that times a million, man. He has got like this giant aura around him. I've been in the same room as him. He's just got this giant aura of like greatness, man. He's really one of the greats. And man, I maybe something awesome will be happening. Who knows? But I do know that like he communicates with me and shows me love. You know what I'm saying? Like the fact that Drake even knows who I am is literally kind of one of the things that I can hold on to and be like, all right, dude, you're doing it, Mod. Like,
well, what it speaks
stuff.
to is just how again, like how ubiquitous your music's becoming and how far reaching it is. You're seeing it in concert sales. You're obviously seeing it in Drake, paying attention to it.
Yes.
But
it's one of the coolest things ever.
You're
And,
saying
like,
you had nothing to do with those Birdhouse and World Industries hoodies,
nothing to
Mod.
do with it.
Really?
That's Drake. That's Drake being Drake, man. That's Drake being Drake. Like I said, like he's one of the people that shows love to like the influence that's going on in the world. You know, I've had some other friends that are close with Drake too, and it's the same thing. Like you wouldn't think that he would know these people, and he does, and you're like, whoa, that is like,
oh yeah,
really cool. And I think I truly do think that like he's just like into what happens currently in the world. I think he keeps his like finger on the pulse.
Well, you
like,
have to. I mean, there's no way you go on a run like he has.
Yeah.
And evolve.
Yeah.
And not.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I'm begging MTV to bring Collision Course back.
Oh,
and
wow.
do it with Drake and whether it's Kells and you or whoever.
Yeah.
But just to me, like that would be so insane.
Yeah.
Just a real mashup. Because you remember Jay-Z and Linkin Park, right?
I mean, that's where so without saying too much, like that's where I want it to go.
Yeah.
Like, you know what I'm saying? Like,
yeah.
Like I do believe that there is another moment in time for something really cool like that.
Mm-hmm.
And I think he's like, I just think he's one of the greatest, dude. Like he's a wordsmith, and like again, like we've talked about words so much and stuff. And like I said, just the fact that like he interacts and like shows me love, is crazy. Like we're talking about Drake, so I don't know how much I can say. You know what I'm saying? So like I keep
very
it
powerful
like,
man.
Yes, I'm keeping it like very in, but like there's definitely like things.
We don't want to mess up any business, Mark.
Yeah, none at all. Goat, Drake the goat, for real.
He is an incredible writer. I think like something that's so glossed over with him was like he was flown into LA as a teenager to write for Dre on Detox.
Wow.
I mean, to me that's like insanity.
Insane.
Do you know what I mean?
Absolute insanity.
But he's just amazing. We do have to go to the radio, but I did want to ask you. We've never really talked about. We've talked about Avril a little bit, with like through Flames, of course, and the Kimmel performance.
Yeah.
How did you two meet?
We met through, and again, I'll say this because I have said this before, so I feel like there are certain people that I keep it like try to like not say too much about and stuff. She's one of them because she's a true icon. So like I don't like to speak for her, but like basically the night that Kells kicked out my windshield on Sunset.
Right.
I don't know if you remember that.
Of course.
Went everywhere, all over the internet. I woke up the next day to like it just being everywhere. If anyone doesn't know, we were riding down Sunset Boulevard and Kells smashed my windshield and then proceeded to kick it out. And we had to ride around the rest of the night with no windshield. Anyways, she had seen that and she was like, "Who is this crazy dude?" Like, and she followed me. I had already followed her. She followed me, and like her fans like alerted me like, "Avril just followed my son on Instagram," and I was like, "Whoa, crazy! Like that's crazy." And I just DM'd her right away, and I was like, "Yo, you're an icon." The exact thing I said is "Hi, icon," and from there, how things like unrolled from there is like she's again someone who's like very aware of like what's happening. Also, just speaking for her, one thing, like she birthed so much of what is happening right now, you know? And I have so much respect for like the real ones left. So for everyone out there, I will say one thing, like Avril sits down, grabs a guitar, sits on her couch and writes a song, you know? There's not many of those that we have left, right? And I'm so like, I look up to her in so many ways for that. She was the one that ran her business the way that it did, that dressed the way she did and acted the way she did. It was all by her design. And then right after we spoke for the first time on the internet, I dropped Karma. And she was like, "That song rocks." Speaking in Karma. Like, really? Without that song, I don't even know if we would have any connection to each other at all, you know? And then we just started working together. And
did she ask you to work with her? Do you suggest working? Because you have such reverence for her. You're probably almost like you would hesitate to you know say, "Hey, let me write for you. Let me work with you."
Yes, I hesitated super hard before asking her to get on Flames. Like I was like had to like work it up. Be like work up the courage to be like told
it's like that middle
no.
school pacing, you know, back in the day.
For real, bro. Honestly, and no, and then like we she asked me who I did that song with. I was like John Feldman and me. She's like, "Oh my god, that's like amazing." And I was like, "Yeah, if you want to get in the studio, like come through sometime." She came through, and I think we made like 3 songs that day. I had like the day that she was like, "Yo, yeah, this song is awesome." I was like, "I got ideas for you," and I like went to Feldman and just like made a bunch of stuff. And she ended up really like enjoy. I mean, John Feldman is one of those people that you work with and you're like, okay, especially someone like her who's worked with tons of people. She was like this process, and the way that he does stuff, but you know, specifically the way that we do stuff, like I said, is like really quick. It's like really quick and in the moment. And I think just like her being around that was such a breath of fresh air, just like being around this like constant creativity. And yeah, man, from there it all started, and she's got some really incredible music coming soon.
It's beautiful to watch from the outside, just two people, from my perspective, that must both be going through somewhat of a return to origin. Yeah. You know? And then I'm sure bond over that. Yeah. And then also, you know, just, you know, make beautiful music, it sounds like, together.
Yeah. And she's just like, also, like, she inspires me to be better every day. Like, I love that girl so much. Yeah. You know, I've changed so much just from meeting her, because like she teaches me how to do so many things just in real life, you know, being around someone who's gone through so much and has just remained so real. Like a lot of these people that you meet in this town, like honestly, a lot of it is a show. And
I'm learning that too. Yeah. I'm getting the crash course right now. Being the new kid on the block.
Yeah, you the new kid. We got Kevan on the West Coast. But when you meet a real one, you really notice it. And you know, I'm in love with her, completely in love. And she's just like, dude, being around another artist is just like, it's so cool.
It's the best.
It's so cool, bro. I mean, it just makes everything is a piece of art. So yeah. Look out for new Avril music. It's gonna be amazing.
We're excited for it. We're also excited for tour.
Yeah.
Let's just get the plugs out of the way here at the end.
Yes.
Best place to get tickets.
Just Modsun, MODSUN.com. Go there. It's just on the landing page. Go get tickets right now. We've got like I think 7 of the 15 shows are sold out, and there's a couple with low ticket alerts. So, go and get them right now. Internet Killed the Rockstar Tour, September to the beginning of October. I'm so grateful.
I love how we've talked about how you were like working merch tables, you were hopping on the mic during a DJ set, at the Kia 10. You're still a hustler to the point where you're so humble. You'll spell out your URL.
Oh yeah, MODSUN. Movement on Dream, stand
like
under none.
No stone unturned with Mod
There's a
Sun.
space between Mod and Sun when you write it down. Yeah, man. I like I said, like I came from a time where you had to work for everything you get. So I wasn't born with a pretty face or rich parents or friends in the industry or even in a city where there was other people doing the same thing as I did.
Or green hair.
Yeah, or the green hair. You know what I'm saying? So
Self-made
I'm just
man.
like, yo, I'm very fortunate to be here, and like I said, like I'm being blessed every day by the fact that I realize it too. I'm very, very grateful, and like I think I'm doing this for a lot of the underdogs out there that were told no their whole life. The people that dreams haven't come true. I'm like, don't give up on that. The day you give up is the closest you ever were to getting something. So just keep it going. You'll make it. It's like surfing, man.
Amen.
Yeah.
Mod, everybody.
Thank you.